Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Holy hell, what a wild ride we've had today. Certainly in the world of crypto, but for stocks as well. And why? All because of inflation data. Oh yeah, so go ahead and break it down. But I'll tell you, look, I've seen some wild stuff having been in crypto for almost 5 years, but this is among the most volatile of days that I can recall, especially in recent memory. I mean, it's certainly up there. Like this, the swing was dramatic, and it was very quick. I mean, what we saw today is the technical definition of a flash crash, where just instantaneously you saw crypto prices just plummet, including XRP, and it was very short-lived, and then quickly rocketed on out of there. In fact, to illustrate this for anybody looking at your screen here, I've got the top 12 cryptos by market cap on your screen. Ignore, as always, the stable coins, but if you look on the right here where I'm circling, you can see the weekly charts. You see this little V-looking part of the chart right here? Yeah. That's what we call a flash crash, my friends, and it was truly dramatic. And it was super duper quick. And I will say this, though. It was more dramatic and more historic for stocks. And I'm going to point that I got an article which kind of brings that point home. So a number of things to discuss here, but it's really interesting seeing this because, Bitcoin, oh my gosh, it got up to, what was it, 24-hour high? Just a hair shy of 20 grand. Just before I started recording this, XRP was over 50 cents. Now it's just a hair below. But it was, like, XRP was as low as, I think, 44 cents, right? Yeah, it was as low as 44 cents, and then it ended up bottomed out and then just took off. You don't normally see that type of swing in such short order, and that's what I'm talking about. So yes, if you look over slightly longer time periods, you might be like, wow, my crypto just went down 30 or 50%. Okay, got it. But in this short of a time period to see that type of volatility, it's not quite as common. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So I record this, like I said, XRP at 49 cents, Bitcoin at $19,812, market cap for the asset class $965 billion, and Bitcoin dominance at 39.34%. And here you can see this is the S&P 500. You can see there was an immediate drop upon market opening, and then it just rocketed on up and ended up closing to the positive, and crypto markets responded in kind. There's a very, very, very strong and very real correlation. But at the beginning of the day, as all this was happening, it was just like utter panic. The articles were coming out, and I think that they were kind of canned articles, just in the sense that I think that they I wouldn't be surprised for some of these platforms with how quickly they got these articles out. If they just had articles already written in two different versions of what they thought could happen, then they modified it with specific data points. Because look at this. This is at 8:31 a.m. CNBC. Inflation increased 0.4% in September, more than expected despite rate hikes. Now, and I don't really want to read through this, but that was one of the earlier articles of the day. And they're talking about how markets are responding. And obviously, it wasn't good. Here's another one from Yahoo Finance. Horrible CPI has some bracing for jumbo hike. Wall Street reacts, and it goes on to talk about how markets were just tanking as a result of this news. Everybody's scared based on the the inflation data, but it didn't really last. Take a look at this article after markets close. This is also from CNBC, and this is from 5:41 p.m. EDT. Dow closes 800 points higher after a historic one-day turnaround. And as I go through this, again, it's worth being aware of this because, again, like I cited at the outset of the video and I bring up somewhat frequently, crypto follows stocks. It's just a fact. And crypto started moving to the upside as the S&P 500 did. It just, these markets are correlated, but it's not something to be terrified about in my humble opinion, because because a lot of times what people do when they're investing in crypto, as it's going down, they're panicking. I put my real money in this. Oh my God, when's the bleeding going to stop? Is it going to go to zero? And there's these fears that people keep feeling. But understand that for almost 0% of humans that are selling and causing price to do what it's doing, buying and selling, whatever the blend ends up being, when the price is going down, I'm just saying, it's not about the fundamentals. It's not an indication of long-term viability of any crypto. So as XRP tanked down to 44 cents roughly, it wasn't some sort of indication that it's a good 10-year run. It's now over. But some people were panicking as XRP was going down. And then it just ended up, over 50 cents. So take a look at this. Again, this article from CNBC, I just want to cover a couple parts of this, because this truly was historic for the S&P 500. Check this out. Stocks staged a massive comeback Thursday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average surging 1,500 points from its lows to the highest level, as traders shook off another hot inflation report. And then we go a little bit further. The choppy session saw stocks fall to their lowest level since 2020 following hotter than expected inflation data, and then post a stunning rebound. The Dow gained more than 1,300 points as traders digested the September Consumer Price Index report. The S&P 500 posted its wildest trading range since March 2020. So, folks, let's pause. I probably don't need to tell you this, but just in case. That was the beginning of the pandemic, certainly in the United States. I remember. Bitcoin got down to what? Something like $3,800 at that time. XRP got down to like 11 cents. Crazy times. And so the S&P, oh yeah, of course. I mean, stocks were taking a beating then too, obviously. And they're saying this is the wildest trading range on a day since that happened in March of 2020. Think about that. And then they write here, Thursday marked the 5th largest intraday reversal from a low in the history of the S&P 500, and it was the 4th largest for the NASDAQ, according to Sentiment Trader. Folks, that's in history. That's the 5th largest intraday reversal from a low in the history of the S&P 500, and the 4th largest for the NASDAQ. So yes, this, as I was kind of hitting at the outset of the video, this is not a normal day. But it was very interesting to see. And that's why, as I saw before recording this, Bitcoin creeping back up to almost $20,000, like, wow, that's quite the turnaround. And here's another, I don't want to read this article, just kind of bring the point home again. There's an article made way earlier in the day from XRP, and they're noting here, XRP erases 20% from recent gains. But then, a little bit later in the day, you get this headline also from you today, bottom of XRP price may have been passed, here's why. See, things changing quickly, right? Now take a look at this from chart analyst Credible Crypto. So he shared this chart, which is just a Bitcoin chart, and he wrote the following. Our last two major impulses were both preceded by around 120 days of relatively low volatility consolidation before they began. It's supposed to be boring. It's part of the process. The more boring it gets, the better it is for the coming expansion. And so you can see what he's talking about here. One of the earliest one on this chart you can see is in 2019. So there you go, about 120 days. Then the next one was towards the second half of the later part of the second half of 2020. You can see there's another time period just like that. He's got there in the little box right there, about 120 days. And now we're at the same level. So he's just saying, and look, I know history doesn't always repeat with itself, but it does tend to rhyme with itself. So we're already at this point where, if we are going to see something even similar to what we've seen at similar points in the past, like this is it, and you should expect the bounce. And historically, October is a good month. And then there was also this, and this is the S&P 500 right here, and this is a chart going back to like the early 90s. This is also from Credible Crypto, and he wrote the following. 3 months later, and we are here, a retest of all-time high and the most logical place to initiate a reversal. Lose this region on higher time frame and break down on RSI below the 40 level, and I would be concerned. For now, this is just a healthy retest and much-needed pullback after a monster rally. And so you can see what he's talking about here. This particular level, that's when the S&P hit a new all-time high, and then it just kept on churning. It just rocketed up even higher and higher. But it's now come back down to what was then that new all-time high. And so he's saying, historically, this is pretty normal. Now, if it breaks down, he's like, okay, maybe we start to worry, but, well, you saw it happen today anyway. It sure as hell bounced off that level. It sure did, right off that all-time high. It's an all-time high retest, as he said. He bounced right off that level, at least today, anyway. And then there was this from chart analyst Ambessa, and he wrote, and this is the S&P 500 update, downside target hit to the cent, let's bounce. Bitcoin, please join. And that was from this afternoon before we saw the most wild ticks to the upside. And so he was anticipating, seems like the same thing as Credible Crypto. This is an important level. expect it to bounce or else something's really wrong. And at least to this point, it has been bouncing. And then there was this from chart analyst Income Sharks. October feeling like we might have just made our low for the month. What a pump. Now to finish it strong and see if we can sustain this with continuation going into midterms. Not even halfway through the month yet. And he shared this little screen grab, which indicates something I have mentioned a few times recently. October's the best month for stocks historically, and it's the best month for crypto. Actually, for crypto, I take that back. It's the second best month for crypto. November's the very best, but it's not that far off, frankly. But you can see what this chart showing is major S&P 500 low since 1932 by calendar month. So this is the time period, man. I'm just saying, we'll see what happens ultimately. I don't worry about this. So for me, if you've been following me for a while, you know my personal approach. And you do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold anything, of course. My approach is I buy something and either it goes to zero or it's worth way more in the future to the point where I'm enticed to sell. So even if prices go way lower, I'm not going to get scared about that. I'll get excited and I have a bunch of cash on the sideline, in which case I actually would purchase a bunch more. But I've still been purchasing a bit here and there. And so I'm done purchasing XRP because I finished that in October of 2020. It's been 2 years, roughly, since I bought XRP. It's my largest holding by still quite a bit. And then I was purchasing a lot of HBAR dating back to May of this year, with a little bit of algo, but mostly HBAR. And I got to the point where it's kind of similar to how I felt about XRP a couple years ago. I was like, if I don't stop purchasing HBAR, I have a problem, because from May of this year to very recently, when I was purchasing HBAR, I literally slightly more than doubled my HBAR holdings just by kind of like at random times purchasing. And for me, I was just intending to top off my bags, but then I was like, wow, I just keep buying. But I had money. It's sitting there. It's like probably too much. Not definitely too much. For a checking account, it needs to go somewhere. Although I don't mind having more money getting eaten by inflation right now in the checking account, just for the off chance that we do just get like a drastic crash, because most people won't be like flush with cash if such a thing happens. I just want to be prepared. And I understand the opportunity cost, but it's fine. It's fine. Because if we're all right about where crypto's going anyway, the fact that my cash is getting eaten up by inflation a little bit right now, it is going to be a drop in the bucket compared to returns on crypto. So I just don't care. So now I'm focusing on topping off my Algorand bags even more. And so I tweeted this out today, way in the AM though, 12:55 a.m. October 13th. I wrote, just bought more Algorand at 31 cents. Currently down quite a bit on this investment and happy to buy more at this price. Bull markets will return. And so look, just to be super clear on this, I hold about 30 different cryptocurrencies. For years, I was down on XRP and pretty much every coin. It was either at about break even or down for years on end. For years and years and years and years. That's normal. Now that's intimidating to many people, and people get impatient and then they get in and out of positions, and that's the downfall of the typical retail trader. But it's normal. So I've been down for most of the time I've been in crypto, but that's not weird actually. Now at this point, just about every single coin I hold is in profit, even after the massive pullback that we've seen with Bitcoin and the altcoin markets. Even after all that, still a good bit on almost everything. Now, Algorand, I started purchasing it towards the beginning part of last year. And so that was one of my more recent, initiatives, or if you want to call it that. It's just one of the more recent things that I chose to purchase, even though it was over a year and a half ago when I started at this point. And so I was up on it for a while, and now I'm down dramatic. This is the coin that I'm down the most on, and that does not intimidate me. In fact, when I saw the price get down, I was like, whoa, I can buy way more compared to when I was buying it for over $1 or whatever the hell the price was when I was purchasing it. I don't remember exactly. But I saw it at this level. I was like, whoa, that's way cheaper than I've ever bought it anyway. And so I got excited about that. And so it's similar. I understand for some people, you bought XRP, and some of you bought it for over $1 or $2. Some of you even bought it for higher than that if you're talking about back in early 2018, late 2017. So I get it. It can be for the typical investor. You're like, oh my God, I spent this. Now it's worth so much. Why would I go buy more? Well, because it's on sale right now. So that's the way I look at it for myself anyway. And so I was down on XRP, but even after the pullback, I'm now up, It's more than double what my average buying price was for XRP. And so I'm down on this one right now. But my personal belief is at some point, since the market moves in tandem, it's all going to get treated about the same. It just looks really cheap right now. And I'm just kind of diversifying into various cryptocurrencies that look like they might end up being here for the long haul. And I think this is one of them personally. And I don't know, maybe it goes to zero, in which case, fine. I lose everything then. But at these levels, I looked at this and I was just like, okay, I continue to top off the bags, So I'm sure I'll be doing more of this unless the price out of nowhere keeps rocketing to the upside, in which case I will not be interested. But yeah, if you see, if Algorand stays around here for a little bit, or if it actually goes lower, yes, I'm interested. Very, very interested here. And then there's also this, somebody named Sheldon responded to that tweet where I was talking about my purchase of Algorand and wrote, "Are you sure about that?" Because again, I said bull markets will return. He said, "Are you sure about that? What if the stock market goes further down for next 3 to 4 years and takes the crypto with it, and Bitcoin never makes all-time high? Then will you keep HODL?" Which, hey, you know what? Fair enough question. I love people just kind of thinking through this. And here was my response, because 3 to 4 years, what if it's 3 to 4 years? Well, I plan on being alive after 3 to 4 years from now, so just keep that in mind. But I wrote, yes, I do not sell at a loss. It goes to zero, or I sell at a profit one day. If you're betting on no market recovery ever, you're betting on the United States ceasing to exist. If you're talking about several years for recovery, sweet. I'm not a short-term minded idiot. So again, totally fair for it to ask this, but no, are you kidding me? Like, markets aren't coming back? Well, if markets don't come back, we don't have a country. So we got much, much, much bigger problems at that point. But I firmly believe that they're going to come back. I just don't know when. But even if it was several years from now, which I'm not anticipating, but even if, so what? I'm going to be here 5 years from now. I'm going to be here 10 years from now, 15 years. I don't care. I just don't care. So that's the way that I'm looking at it. But I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.